bit pessimistic about them. I think some of it, Nick, also is their division. I think the Chargers are really good. I think Denver is a good team.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm stunned
that
you have more faith in the Chargers than the Chiefs. I'm stunned.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are. I think that last year they had a good year. Obviously, didn't do anything in the playoffs, but they had two of their offensive linemen, which is important. We've seen Mahomes without his offensive line, and he struggled. Now, Herbert's a question mark. We haven't seen him do anything of note in the playoffs.
And I didn't think the Chargers made great, like, massive offs.
I'm giving McDaniel a lot. I'm thinking he's going to help Herbert. Sure. I give you that. Yeah. And I have a lot of faith in Harbaugh, too.
Yeah.
So I won't be shocked if they come back and get back to that contender, top contender status. But right now, I am, even to myself, a little bit, I just don't see it happening.
Are you
Yeah, so I already made a Chargers video before this one. Because Nick went on an absolute rant against the Chargers on the herd, that episode is posting tomorrow. Everything just got shuffled around in terms of timing, so I don't want to rehash that whole take or that whole video, because it's a great video, if I do say so myself. But what I find really funny is that Nick goes on this whole thing about how last season wasn't actually as bad for the Kansas City Chiefs as it really was. That if Patrick Mahomes had played the whole time, the whole season, they could have beaten the Chargers in that game, and they would have won 8 or 9 games, blah blah blah. And that after they beat the Commanders, they were Super Bowl frontrunners and Mahomes was the MVP leader. Just a lot of bizarre revisionist history. What I find so funny is that the Chargers' offensive line was decimated last season. And this came off a Super Bowl where Mahomes got destroyed, had one of his worst games ever, and everybody just emphasized offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. That unit is so important. Then the Bears went out and fortified their line, and everyone praised them. People were saying the Raiders were making a huge mistake by not going offensive line. The Chiefs drafted offensive line over and over. And now the Chargers line gets decimated, the worst offensive line in the NFL, and yet they still survive. They still go on to beat teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. They get to the playoffs. They beat the Broncos. They win 11 games. And the line wasn't just magically bad, it was obviously missing 2 monsters who were injured. Now we have every reason to believe they're coming back and they're going to be healthy. This offensive line should be light years better. Significantly better. And we keep pretending like that means nothing. I don't understand. Mike McDaniel, when they were talking about other teams like the Ravens or the Eagles, especially the Eagles, it was a sweepstakes. Oh my God, everybody wants Mike McDaniel. He's an offensive genius. He's amazing. Do you see what he was able to do with Tua? He's a genius. He's the coordinator that if he's willing to not be a head coach, every team should be losing their minds over. And then the Los Angeles Chargers get him, and it's just poof. Suddenly it's like, is he really that good of a coach? What did he do in Miami? Wait, what? Somehow it was devastating and an indictment on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles for not getting Mike McDaniel. But with Justin Herbert, it's just nothing. Meaningless. The offensive line is so important. Teams are spending every last dollar they can on the line. Everyone's trying to figure out left tackle, right tackle, center, who's in the draft, what can we do? We need him. Oh my God, this lineman retired, this is going to crush the entire team. This guy's still injured and might not be healthy again, it's over. Done. Except when we're talking about the Chargers. None of that stuff matters. Why? You've got to tell me why. So we shouldn't have faith in a team that got an elite coach, arguably the best coaching hire in the NFL? Not head coach, but combining head coach and coordinator. Obviously a head coach can have a greater impact. You could say, well, Clint Kubiak and the Raiders, I get that. But if we're talking specifically about coaching, just coordinating itself, people believed more in Mike McDaniel as an offensive coach than they believe in Clint Kubiak, or Jesse Minter, or Halfley. At least they did prior to him getting to the Chargers. And again, the offensive line, something that is so important, has always been so important. When a team we like or a quarterback we like loses with a bad line, we go, oh, it was the line. But the Chargers win with a bad line, and it means nothing. I made that video comparing Justin Herbert with a bad line and Patrick Mahomes with a bad line, and it wasn't close. In the games where Herbert was pressured 15 or more times and Mahomes was pressured 15 or more times, it wasn't close. I showed you that Herbert was actually on pace with a terrible line to have better statistical seasons than Mahomes had with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, the golden years of the Kansas City Chiefs. And you mean to tell me we're not supposed to have any belief or optimism in the Chargers? I didn't know that Justin Herbert and the Chargers were Shadur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. I didn't know that. Oh, it's Kenny Pickett and the Browns? I didn't realize. I thought we were talking about Justin Herbert, Harbaugh, McDaniel, an elite line this coming season. I guess I got my teams mixed up. Especially since I keep calling them the San Diego Los Angeles Chargers, I'm confused. St. Louis Rams. Oakland Raiders. Baltimore Colts. Houston Oilers. Sorry, I get confused sometimes. And again, talking about the playoffs. Because they're all, oh, well, Justin Herbert's not proven in the playoffs. Okay, sure. Whatever. At this point, we're talking about the division. Because the whole thing is, the division is harder. That's why it should be harder for the Chiefs. And it's true, the Broncos are better, the Chargers are better, the Raiders should be better. Everyone's better now. This isn't a circling the drain division anymore. So that makes things harder for everyone, the Chargers included. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be a bad team. And I don't know how we define a great year anymore. What's the definition of a great year? This is where it's always funny. Because you can play badly, but if you make it to the divisional round, if you're the Chiefs and Mahomes, then it's considered a great year. If you make it to the Super Bowl, it's considered a great year. But the Broncos and Bo Nix make it to the AFC Championship game, he even balls out in the divisional round to get there, and nobody would say Bo Nix had a great year. So you're going to have to tell me what actually counts as a great year. Justin Herbert gets injured. Has to get surgery. Has the worst offensive line and an inconsistent run game. Gets to the playoffs. Doesn't miss a game with that injury. Is getting crushed with a cast from the surgery. But because he lost in the playoffs, it wasn't a great year. So again, you're going to have to tell me how we define a great year. Because nobody said Jalen Hurts had a great year in 2024, he won the Super Bowl. So it's not about winning the Super Bowl. So you have to tell me what's considered a great year. This is where it's funny because I just made a video, and super duper mega Kansas City Chiefs fan, especially mega Mahomes fan, Sean in the comment section said I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. He's very angry at my previous Chiefs take. I don't know why, I didn't do anything wrong. And he said, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. And it's like, what are the rules we're playing by? It's not my fault everyone keeps making up rules. One minute you want to say the O-line matters, the next minute the O-line doesn't matter. 1 minute coaching and coordinating matters, the next minute it doesn't matter. 1 minute it's a great year even though you don't win the Super Bowl. Another year you won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't that great because you didn't do enough. I don't know what the rules are. Again, it's not my fault. I'm not the one who makes up the rules. I didn't create the sports talk ecosystem. I just try my best to exist in it. I just try to navigate through it. I don't know what to tell you. Because they'll say, Patrick Mahomes had a great year in 2024 because he got to the Super Bowl. But Jalen Hurts winning the Super Bowl, he didn't have a great year. Justin Herbert playing great with a bad line and getting his team to the playoffs wasn't a great year because he didn't win a playoff game. And he got dominated in that playoff game. But Mahomes gets dominated in the Super Bowl, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter, it was amazing he even got there. And it's like, wait, what? Lamar Jackson had an MVP year in 2023, but he lost in the AFC Championship, therefore it wasn't a great year for him. Josh Allen didn't have a great year, he won the MVP, but he lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. So it wasn't a great year. He choked. He wasn't good enough. It's like, wait, what? Mahomes gets to the AFC Championship and loses, and it's all he got to the AFC Championship, the Arrowhead Invitational. But he didn't get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, but that doesn't matter because you already won a Super Bowl. But then Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. But then he didn't win the Super Bowl this year, and therefore he didn't have a good year. Oh man, I'm getting confused. I can't keep track. But that's me talking out of both sides of my mouth. I don't know. Seems like everyone just be saying a whole lot. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the San Diego-Los Angeles Chargers? Do they deserve respect? I know, we shouldn't have any type of optimism or respect toward them. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some playoff talk. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you be part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.